Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings. Maybe not here in Mendham. Yeah, it's a bad news kind of week. Found out selling the property I'm on, selling it to some asshole who requires the current tenants to be kicked off. And so, yeah, it's kind of yuck. So there's some slight possibility of making something change if certain amounts of money can be put together and blah blah blah. So, but I mean, if I could guarantee it was a really good investment, then I could say, yeah, it's you can't lose. I could argue that you really can't lose, in the sense that it should work out. But yeah, I really can't guarantee that you won't win either. So, your money could be tied up for 2 years and then you're not getting interest and all that kind of stuff. So, probably not viable. But, anyway. So, just for the people out there who have just tons and tons of money they can't figure out what to do with. And it probably is a good idea to get it out of the stock market anyway. But, just for those, you could email me if you have some capacity to put together many thousands of dollars and such. But otherwise, it looks like we'll see. I'll make an offer of some kind, and to try to prolong this slow agony. But anyway, it really does suck. I mean, just living for a year with the for sale sign, and you just don't know all these people come and do it. It's a terrible way to live. But I don't want to move either. But it looks like that's going to happen. Maybe it's like 70% up there, maybe 80% chance that's what's going to happen. And I am not in any way mentally or psychologically prepared for that. Not at all. Can't imagine living somewhere else. Can't imagine adjusting. Can't imagine even being transported from here to somewhere else. And they're all, it's all stuff that, average people could just say, well, what's your problem, But, it's the kind of thing it's one of those things you have to have it to know it, and if you don't have it, then you can't know it. It's kind of like vertigo. I didn't really realize how bad vertigo was until I actually experienced it. I said, oh, this is what it's about. Oh, I can see where this is quite crippling, So anyway, so this video I'll just slop together. Maybe I'll read some comments for a change, and but yeah, I'm just quite distracted by the terror and the horror, and but life is, it's a part of me says it's not going to matter. I mean, something eventually is going to show up in horrible ways and doom you. And the question is, do you have the guts to bail? Getting out is tricky, and staying is tricky. So it's it's just really not pleasant. So yeah, I don't know how bad it will be, but it's it's going to be bad. I just don't know. Hopefully I will retain the capacity to make videos in the future. We'll see. Some sort of bump. Anyway, let me do something else to get some pimples. That'll make me even cheer me up even some more. It's just like a little. That's so minor. It's not even worth mentioning, right? So anyway, so I'm distracted and putsy. Just even trying to collect what stuff here is worth taking with me and figuring all that out. It's just well, anyway, there's so many levels to the horror. So anyway, so I'm distracted. That's what we'll call it, distracted. So anyway, commenters, let's see if there's anything worth reading here. So some avalanche guy. So now we know why Satan was pissed when he found out God was making another planet to satisfy his perverted needs. I have no idea what that means. Just none. I have met Benatar, says Wessel Zappy. Who cares? You're meeting somebody and actually doing something with the interaction are two different things, obviously. Yeah, I think they're two different things. Pretty sure. Yeah, 90% sure. Different things. Let's see what this Gregor Braun. Yes, so your point is this: a bunch of cunts are getting shitload of money. Along them, we've got a shitload of direct or indirect parasites by nature. Well, yeah, I didn't really saying that, so that's not exactly my point. I said we're selfish by nature. I don't know if we have to actually be parasitical, but yes. This dynamic can be seen on every level in social strata. Yeah, and it concerns people who notice it. They say, well, that's disconcerting. We need to do a civilization thing to try to up the game a little bit, try to make the little bugs work better. So what's your damn point anyway? That's my damn point, is that we can encourage, incentivize good behavior and de-incentivize bad behavior. That's my point. And we're doing exactly the opposite right at the moment. Liars and cheaters win, player by the rulers lose. And that's really a dumb system. You've been saying the same thing now for the past 10 years. Well, it's longer than 10, but yeah, I've been saying it for probably 30 years. So now you give a damn about nations because your own private space is being threatened. I don't even know what that means, but yeah, I don't know. I've always advocated for the same thing, that in the world we shouldn't have been exploiting other nations, and we should have been helping. We should have been, raising them like they were children, and you try to encourage them to be better. And instead we just exploited the frig out of them. So he says, fuck off. I don't know. Fuck off why? Well, because I think we could do a better job. Oh, okay. Like sort of off. Like sort off. It doesn't make any sense, like as such. No, I don't know like or any of that. So I'm just going to delete that. This is just a piece of crap as a comment. So here's one from Blast from the Past. The charming and pretty. Apropos of wet snow. I haven't seen or heard from like 5 years or something. Anyway. Hi Gary, hope you are well. Would like to get your thoughts on this. Maybe you can do a video on this article. I don't think I'd want to do the whole video on it. Google above the law 69-year-old tries to get his age legally changed so he can score on Tinder. Do you think there is a parallel argument that individuals ought to be able to change their age? No. As trans people do with their gender. Well, you can't do an operation that makes you younger, so that's just silly. On the basis that their minds may be wired younger or older. I don't think there's any such thing as a age of a mind. Even so, it's not really, if it was just about minds, I don't think when people look for a relationship, they're saying, oh, I want to find somebody who has the biggest age number. No, they're just looking for somebody who's not, oh, you're almost dead. Oh, okay, forget about it. Even if that is at odds with the physical state of their body. Well, like I said, there's just not any natural state of age knowledge. I don't think anybody thinks they're as old or feels an age. They just notice that, yeah, I don't look as good as I feel. They notice that. Ignore the Tinder part of this article. Imagine 70-year-old legitimately felt his or her in her mind that he or she was much younger. Well, I don't know how you legitimately think you're younger than you are. So I just don't see the point of lying. I just don't. I mean, it is what it is. It's biological. And I don't think people should be lying. So that's, I don't think I need to do a whole video on why lying sucks. You have 0 experience. So this is in the garbage. So he has an appropriate screen name. You have 0 experience and have no way to really explain the value, the world you live in, other that your own novatic cynical attitude, which is twisted, immature, false, and bent. False how? The fact that we're all bent by experience to some extent is just a fact. I mean, some people are lucky and assume things are easy. Some people are unlucky, assume they're much harder than they usually are. We're all subject to being bent or twisted, but this stupid false thing, I don't, fuck you. You are an extremely mentally weak and fragile person. Yes, I'm fine. And I'm supposed to be something else, right? I'm this weakness thing is that I'm too sensitive and I care too much, and horror and suffering I find revolting. So that makes me somehow weak and fragile. No, I think it probably just makes me more intellectually honest than you. Skull. He's got a skull thingy for an icon. So you have to blame the stone cold fate for it instead of challenging yourself so you can grow with your suffering. So this is, that's your business. You think you can grow something in suffering besides in the garbage? I mean, it's like, again, his name is perfectly appropriate. I mean, grow with your suffering. I mean, just, if that's your plan, then yeah, I'd say you're kind of Satan. You're just not somebody I think I have any obligation to admire as a good reasoning. Like, you have good reasoning skills because you think suffering is good fertilizer. Although your cheap arguments hold water and you were born with intelligence, you still are weak and very unwise, resulting your create no sufficient value in your life of use. Presumably English is not his first. But anyway, whatever all that crap is, yes, I'm a weakling. Okay. Ooh. Yeah. And that means what? Exactly. I'm supposed to be a bug. Yeah, well, I'm not. So I think you're wrong to think I'm supposed to be a bug. Truth is, you don't have any fucking idea what the fuck you are. Well, I kind of think I do. So you can say crap, but it's crap. So I think we'll delete that because it's just crap. Alright, so this is, I don't know, this avalanche guy is just, I don't know where he's on another planet somewhere. So did evolution create infinite galaxies at once or one at a time? I don't even know why he brings this up on one of the what the fuck videos. I really don't think it was on the subject. I don't think so. Pretty sure. But, people are just so fascinated with creation. They just can't get past thinking that somehow creation is the real story. So whether there's an infinite universe or a finite universe, or whether it oscillates, or whether, somehow if they have the answer to that question, that to them means something. And I just don't know where they get that from. Because the answer is going to be just as blind and cold and cruel as the answer to why we evolved and how we evolved and what happened till every little trilobite goes extinct and this happens and that. All of those things happened for no good reasons. There's not going to be good reason as you go further down. As you go underneath biological evolution to the physics evolution, there's not going to be a purpose somewhere. So I don't know what you're searching for. If you really, I mean, again, if you just want to believe in a God, okay, you want to believe that there was some intrinsic wisdom built into the creation of the universe or something, or there was something that created it, or there was some reason it was created, or all of that crap, when every bit of evidence just points to crude forces. It's just a mechanical process, and it happened just like you knock over a glass of milk on the table or something, you spill it. That the universe could make mistakes, and it made them. I mean, it obviously has some potential to be a universe that had something in it, and that something turned out to be something that happened. But I mean, I you know, I just don't understand why you care about this infinite galaxies thing. I think it's just kind of obvious that galaxies are evolving. Is the point I've made. It's just that they're very small and intense, very compact when they're back in the past, and in the present they're big and fluffy. So they're obviously, the universe is changing, it would seem. Alright, anyway, not like we choose whom we fall out of, so the same asshole, person. Obviously the only way would be single world government. Well, I don't know if you need to have whatever you call government. Freaking constitution would be enough. The same laws and freedoms for everyone in every corner of the planet. And, I don't know if that's even applicable. People live in different places. People live on top of mountains. People live on the coast. People live in all kinds of different places, and you gotta have different rules in different places. The commons are more sensitive, this, that, lots of rules. So I don't think it's this simplistic. I would argue that you could make an argument that every child born seems reasonable, that it would have an entitlement to the same opportunities anyway. As best as possible. But you can't do that too. Male, female, different, to tall, short, different, fat, thin. There's lots of, one arm missing. Lots of things can happen that make us different. And some of that you can fix, and some of it you can't. But yeah, I'm looking for some kind of fairness, but I just don't think you need to go with this extreme rhetoric of, oh, we have to do the whole world, or nothing at all. I think you can start off by first showing in a demonstration model that you can make a civilization that's decent. And there's not too much of that in the world. So, Das Spook, another person I haven't heard from in a while. Search Vimeo for So Close to America, Undocumented Farm Workers and the Myth of Free Ride. Yeah, well, it's 20 minutes. Yeah, I don't know, the argument, I think it'd be silly to make an argument that immigrant labor isn't being exploited for profit, especially in California. But the question about whether immigration, is a good idea is a separate question. And, it's a lot different than migrant workers. I'm just saying there's practical limitations. You're raising the next American generation is being raised in poverty and on welfare. Now, if you think that's good for America, okay, I don't think it's too good for America. And it's an expose on why the anti-immigration policy is contrary to economic forces and so forth. Yeah, well, I'm just saying it's immigration is toxic to the value of labor. That's just a fact. It takes away the power of labor excesses, and that's what it creates. It's clear. So it just kind of depends on what you think are good economic forces, and if you think it's a good, it's a good economic force to, pay people a wage that's insufficient to live on, fine, but I don't think that's good. Check it out, if you will. My brother worked on the graphics. Yeah, well, probably not, but I'll keep it vaguely in mind. Just in time. You are a racist. I said it's okay to call me one, but I don't see the point. But anyway, the evidence is out there for all to see. 10 years worth. Right. And again, I don't know where exactly is the evidence there to see. I mean, where exactly have I done anything to, in any way overtly defend mistreating or differently treating people of another race. Anyway, too bad you lack the ability to see it yourself. Well, whatever, I'll just delete that because it doesn't have any evidence in it. Alright, let's see, so something, I don't know what the name is. Glennos convinced me on antinatalism. Ecological convinced me on veganism, or veganism, yeah. In Mendham convinced me on ephilism. Well, I don't know if I'd make all those distinctions, but fine. Alright, I love eating shit is the guy's screen name, so I think we'll just block him. Said something about I can't agree more, so, that's the kind of agreeer I don't want. Alright, player quoted a couple of my quotes. Let's see, Bell 19,700. I don't know what that means. You have better looking legs than most women I've known. Huh, oh, cool. Nice to hear you again. Keep talking. Yeah, good. True, Indonesia sucks. Yeah, the Indonesia sucks videos do get a lot of views, but I don't think people actually watch the video. I don't think they pay any attention to the fact that it sucks because, yeah, a perfectly good human is dead for no good reason. I mean, it just seems, we live for no good reason, but I just mean we also shouldn't die for no good reason. Everything that happens to us should have reasons that have legitimacy. Compares immigration to dogs sniffing weird butts. Me laugh. Yeah, well, that was a little bit funny. So he has cameras set up all over the neighborhood to take pictures of his genitals in spray on bike shorts. Well, I didn't know there were bike shorts, but cool. Yes, that's what I do. She's a bitch. Oh, Annika. Yeah, a lot of people don't like Annika. Anyway, I voted Dick Cheney for king. He calls himself Neo. Well, then you're really, really stupid. And a couple of people are posting to whom it may concern. So they're doing the physics challenge contest thing here and putting the names down. I don't know why they would do that. Seems a silly thing to do. Oh, this Mac 2 Einstein has it's like spam on his YouTube channel. So I think we'll block him. Alright, whatever happened to Brett Keane? I don't know. I don't know. Why would I know? All Indonesians in cartoon, they are mean, LOL. Well, I don't know what that means. By the way, over 35% of Americans belong to groups other than descendants of European immigrants. Yeah, well, I would think the number would start to be approaching higher by now, but obviously most of the children born in America are obviously not descendant of Europeans and have other habits and ways, and yes, they also look different from you. Again, I don't know why people miss the point. I mean, it's fine. You want to say it's okay. This is what America doesn't really. It isn't something that's supposed to be a certain thing. Like you had it for a few hundred years a certain way, and now we should say it's time to break it and make it into something different. Okay, you can make that argument. I'm just saying I don't see the evidence that the thing you're going to make it into is going to be better. So that's my only argument. Life is one bad apple pie. Yes, it is. It's just a mess. It's horrible. I mean, just the, like I said, last few days of just going through the trauma of imagining my really bad choices I have in the circumstance. And it's just like, oh, no, I just should put myself out of my misery. Eef. Anyway, I have two choices. So this is 0, 0. Joe Munchkin, a pro-life gun nut whose daughter raised the price of EpiPens by 500% for a Republican. I don't know what that even means, but can't fucking win, especially when we live in a nation where most of the people who too goddamn stupid to make logical decisions. Well, you know, too many of them can't type very good either, but yeah, no, I mean, it's most people aren't very bright, and they don't really have much knowledge of the system, and they're just full of conspiracy theories and scapegoaty notions, and yeah, it's just really bad. I mean, it's just going to keep getting worse, and it's just really depressing. The downfall began when Jewish bankers took over Western banks and media. Well, just more nonsense. I mean, the Jewish bankers were a lot worse 100 years ago. They are the biggest funders of open borders, wars, and political parties. It's just not true again, but anyway, just look at George Soros. He's paying immigrants to enter Europe. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, rich people have an interest in you know, getting cheap labor. The downfall began when Jewish bank, okay, he quoted the other guy, said Adolf Hitler. Yeah. Just look at, and then we'll see what he says here. You just can't stop with the white supremacist myths, can you? Yeah, well, I don't even know what that means, but I don't know how accusing George Soros of whatever, immigrant baiting or something. I don't know, you know, well, anyway. I mean, you know, just conspiracy theories, scapegoats, you know, let's blame it on, I mean, Ronald Reagan is the guy who started increasing immigration, legal immigration, and pretending to oppose illegal immigration. And it was clearly for the purpose of creating downward pressure on wages. Hello, sir. I'm a huge fan and have made a video in regard to your greatness. Oh, I'm sure that might not be happening. Hope you take the time to view it and make me so happy. I'm very proud of your work. Oh. Vandalism, OV, veganism. Huh. You could have posted a link, actually. You could have, presumably. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's a good video. Buffalo Bill versus Logan Blake. Oh yeah, thanks. Oh, he has music on his YouTube channel. Okay, yeah, you're a serious contender for a credible human. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're not. Jesus. I don't see the problem with the rich. This is Cat O the Wiser and Cato. Oh, Cato the Wiser. I don't see the problem with the rich. It's just amazing. The nefarious tax policies are inheritance as anywhere close to the problem of importing third worlders into the country. And anyone can use the same deductions for losses. It isn't just the rich. Well, that's a pile of crap. No, they can't. We can't even deduct our medical expenses in a lot of cases. So I don't know where you get that notion from. You certainly can't deduct your gambling losses. And then what's the difference? And the point is they call it risk capital. How's it risk capital if you're not really risking anything, because anything you lose you're going to get back? So how's it risk capital? Yeah, I really want to just block you because you're just disgusting whore for the rich. I mean, to talk about nefarious tax policies when all we've done for the last 40 years is engineer a tax code that is so preferential to the wealthy. I mean, a guy goes out and works 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day to make a living, and he pays twice the tax rate as some asshole like Trump who inherits it. I don't know how you can justify that, you fucking weasel. People are disgusting. You're really disgusting. Yes, an example of racism in 2018. Someone who isn't as equally pleased by, aroused by big afros as they are by fine golden hair. Well, whatever the subjective facts are, that yes, people have subjective tastes. That's the truth. They have certain habits and behaviors, and a lot of them don't mix very well. So if I took the people from any European country and said, you know, and just imported half the population and just switched it or something, and now all of a sudden everybody's behaving quite differently than the norm. Yeah, people find that irritating and unsettling, and you know, it just kind of ruins the fun of civilization when it becomes incoherent. There's an unrealistic, obnoxious tendency in current progressivism that people utterly purge themselves of any preferences that could lead to discriminatory behavior, no matter how benign and harmless the behavior is. Well, you're probably better off with an example of that. And apparently this obsession is worth destroying civilization for. Yeah, well, both sides are destroying it, so you can't really say, because the liberals are defending the immigrants doesn't mean they're causing the problem. Clearly the Republicans don't want to fix the problem. The problem is easily fixed. Social Security numbers that matter, and you just have sanctions against people who employ illegals. You just say, look, you can't work here if you're illegal. You have to have a green card or a brown card or a yellow card. You have to have some color card, and you have to be on the road to being a citizen, or get the fuck out of town. And that has to be the rule, and it's really simple, easy to impose that. No work at all. You know, you spend $1 million, you know, on a computer, and you've done it. It's that simple. And so they haven't done it because both parties don't want it. Yeah, you need to run for office. Yeah, well, obviously no one's gonna. The popular opinion will not be. They will not be impressed. The idiocracy will not like me. Why isn't the vote linked to your social security number? Then you don't need voter ID or anything like that. Yeah, I don't know why it isn't either. Seems a perfectly rational system, and it should be a system where we all can access our own vote and make sure it got counted. Hi Gary, just wanted to say hello and let you know I've missed your old tiny chat hangout days, whatever. This is North Gaze, I don't know who that is. You did so much for me, oh good, and taught me so much in my early 20s. It's crazy to think all this time has passed. I'm now 28, yeah, it scares the hell out of me. Things changed, people moved on, lots of faces have come and gone, still have respect for you that is reserved for almost nobody else. Well, that's nice. The way you live and your ability to express yourself, all the videos you made, the thoughts you had, the philosophy on life actually helped me skip so much stupidity and nonsense we get exposed to through politics and ideologies. You are one of a kind. Fuck all those naysayers and people who troll you. You will always have eternal support from myself and others who happen to find you. I hope you are keeping well and are healthy. Remember, Tweeto. Yeah, I remember that. Man, what the hell happened to that guy? He was certainly a unique individual. Yes, Tweento. That was a weird name. Anyway, yes. So somebody says, amen, and blah. If this doesn't start producing an upheaval of the stomach, I don't know what will. Oh, that's the double slit dipshit. So he's got to troll this channel now. These people with their stupid obsessions. Particle gratitude. Sorry you feel that way. Particle gratitude. I don't know what that means. Anyway, I'm sorry you are talking to Gary because he is likely the most ungrateful, rude, arrogant, and mean-spirited person on the entirety of YouTube. It seems like a preposterous exaggeration, but anyway. The guy literally says the only thing stopping him from killing and torturing many people are society's laws. Yes, I think there's really evil, nasty people. I read an email the other day, a spam email, where the email was pretending to be a woman dying of cancer in Europe, right? And her husband, just recently died. And, he had a bunch of gold in the bank. And, so she can't get to the bank because she's dying of cancer. So she can't get the money out to give it to charity. And if you'll just, help out, you can have half the money. And you're just saying anybody who would, use dying of cancer, and making a whole sad story about somebody dying of cancer. Now, don't you think that person should just put up against a wall and shot? What other purpose, what other way do you appropriately respond to somebody so low, that they'll use dying of cancer? It's just so foul. What would be your response? Just say, oh, that's probably your mother who does this. Your mother probably writes those emails. Yeah, I forgot. The guy who said he'd throw a girl pregnant with his baby down the stairs. I said if you're going to violate a fundamental contract, then yeah, some contracts, if you're going to impose torture, I have a right to stop you. So it's like stopping a rapist or something. I mean, if there's a point where you have a right to stop somebody. If somebody makes a deal and then they break the deal and they're going to now impose torture on a little victim, I have a right to stop them. A guy who has, he uses little asterisks, so he'll say shit in his screen name, but he won't say whatever this is. Who has killed, I guess, healthy kittens. And again, you would rather cut their nuts off, force them through surgeries, inject them with all kinds of crap, and then throw them on the street to die in some miserable, horrible, lonely way. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I hate you people so much. You're just so disgusting. To think that you have anything called a compassion or decent bone in your body when you can talk this shit. And here you are gushing over him. A distinguishing edit. I'm going to be blocked soon, so don't expect a reply. Yes, well, you're going to be blocked because you just lie. I mean, you take statements out of context. That's the same as lying. You're just a liar. What's wrong with throwing pregnant lady down the stairs? Final Fantasy says, yes, exactly. Gary said that woman had agreed to be killed. Exactly. She entered a consensual contract. Exactly. Contract should mean something. When people give their word, it's like, it's a Clint Eastwood, John Wayne thing. Clint Eastwood, puts his hand in the Indian and they, wrap it around and, yeah, we made a pact, My blood, your blood, we made a pact. You can't fuck with that. So, yeah, fuck this asshole. Okay, let's see what he says to this fetus killing. Let's see, what's wrong with it? Okay, you are the one twisted, sick fuck. So he doesn't answer him. He just calls him a twisted, sick fuck. Good news is you and Gary will never be in the position to get a woman pregnant. This is more wasted time nonsense. Like Gary, you probably shy away from society. Yes, you are vomit worthy. Yes. And take solace in your fuck the world, it sucks, teenage mentality. Well, it's just the truth. Blaming everyone else for your pathetic nature. And my nature is so bad because I like to keep contracts and I don't like liars. And like Gary, you are too much of a coward to ever act on these ridiculous thoughts regardless. And so he blames me for killing cats, and he says I don't act on my thoughts. Funny, I think I do. If your aphilist actually had some backbone, maybe you'd turn into a real death cult and start killing people to relieve their suffering. Yeah, obviously that just can't work in this society because you're just subject to the vagaries of courtroom procedure. Doesn't matter if they haven't consented. So again, why would not consenting matter when the word consent has sort of been brought up by me as sort of an important concept? You're the one who's perpetrating the unconsensual acts. They are stuck in this cruel game, slaves to the DNA molecule. It's what's best for them. Yeah, well, there are things and conditions where they don't have the capacity to make the decision, and somebody who does have that capacity has to take responsibility for that reality. Assholes like you who want your right to die of cancer, yes, you should be able to die of cancer over and over again, but you shouldn't be allowed to drag me into your horror. It's what they really want deep down, to be free of this horrible, horrible world. Am I right? I don't know what that means. Twisted fucks. Gary claims he continues living to spread the good world. What's your excuse, you sad sack? Well, whatever. I mean, obviously you're not persuaded that torture is not a great idea. It's not a great plan. That designing things to rot and fail and die is stupid. Yeah, so you're just a dumb fuck. But I think I will just block you. You're just a troll. I wish the In Mendham of 10 years ago could do a commentary video on this video. In Mendham is making some bizarre arguments. I don't know. They're really not that bizarre. You're not addressing or refuting any of his arguments, dipshit. And then the unnamed, another great screen name. My conclusion is that only In Mendham is qualified to comment on In Mendham. That makes a lot of sense. Let's see, I don't care about your arbitrary moral code then. My point holds regardless of your sophistry, as you don't address any of the arguments he made. Stupid masturbating rhetoric. Shoelaces, Jesus, I don't know what that means. You're more irritant than In Mendham. I don't know. But we allow it to In Mendham. With you, we don't. Fuck off. I don't know. Well, that meant... Oh, AK-47 Communist. Another fucking idiot from the other channel. Alright, this guy thinks he's slick. Well, that's a brilliant comment there, isn't it? Oh, she's slicker than you, though. No videos, punk X, bitch. Let's see. Your mother hates you because your dick is too small. There we go. Shoelaces knows what that's the right answer. Bingo. These people just have little tiny wieners. Okay, Cato the Wiser again. Difference between then and now regarding immigration. We don't need people in factories so much. Yeah, I don't think it was even a need thing then. It's just that it was wide open. You had lots of opportunity because there was lots of things to be built and lots of things to be territory to be taken. So the more people you have to take it, the better. But obviously we're not still in that circumstance. We now have overcrowded beaches and we have overcrowded cities and we have overcrowded everything. So it's really not the same kind of let's find some more territory to take. And yeah, we don't have unlimited resources anymore. We don't have all the oil we can use and all that kind of crap anymore. It's a different world. Diversity equals strife. Yeah, that I'm just saying it's not. I'm not saying you can't make an argument for it. I'm just saying you can't just say diversity is good and not explain to me why it's good with something better than I like tacos and enchiladas, and we'll come up with some Canadian food. I like eating whatever macaroni with mayonnaise on it, and I like well, they eat something with mayonnaise. I don't know, some disgusting thing like peanut butter and mayonnaise. Um, that's not an explanation of why it's good for us, or it's why I personally should find it charming, or why it's wrong for me to feel kind of naturally. I want my desk flat. I don't want the desk going vertical. I mean, I know that's kind of an extreme example, but there's some differences that are almost that extreme in terms of what people's habits are and what they like and what they enjoy. And we're sort of losing any commonness in those things, and that's really dangerous, in my opinion. I couldn't agree with you more about guillotines. If people want civilization, guillotine or something similar is indispensable. Yes. You look like you could be Nick Nolte's younger brother. Frankly, today I look like I could be his older brother, but whatever. Thanks, kind of. F-list library on my channel under the playlist section will be updated frequently. Okay, thank you. Oh, the avalanche guy again. Ban all forms of gambling, from a dollar bet to a scratch card to a quarter to an 8 billion oil bet. Ban money lending for interest. Government lends at 0%. I don't know about lending at 0%. I mean, you still have to keep up with inflation, so you should have to pay the cost to government. Inflation's a real cost. But yes, clearly there should be a government bank, but clearly you have to have some mechanism to guarantee the people pay back their loans. So, you do have to have some kind of system, and you have to pay for that system. So there has to be a little bit of money put in aside to differentiate between a rational loan and an irrational loan. I agree with, everybody should be able to go to the government with an actual asset and be able to put the deed down on the table and say, here's the deed. They should be able to mortgage their hardware into into capital. So that minimum the government should be able to do. So anything collateralized, the government should be willing to loan money at no interest on things that are hard assets. I agree with some of this, but not the idea of workers and the poor shouldn't be automatically entitled to a generous safety net. Yeah, well, you want to pay for it, fine. It's not free. It would have to be paid for by progressive taxation. Well, no one's been able to do that. We keep going backwards on taxation. We've given away so much to the rich that it would take you, even if you started to take some of it back, it might take 20 years to get back to where they were in the 80s, let alone where they were in the 60s in terms of taxation. So you're so far from the target now that, good luck. The rich need to have a civilization in order to be able to make their investments and set up their company. Well, the point is the people who are making these investments are not people who earn the money, and that to me is the real problem. So first you have to make it a meritocracy. You have to make it so people have to earn it, not just inherit it. You can't you can't have an inherited system. It ruins it. If you notice, In Mendham contradicts himself when he implies that society shouldn't take money from the rich in one breath. I don't know where I said it shouldn't. When he accuses the rich of being welfare leechers in the next breath. Yeah, well, I'm saying the inheritance people are essentially welfare whores. I mean, they don't do anything, they don't create anything, they don't make anything, they just consume. So how are they any different? I strongly disagree with the former, but heartily agree with the latter. As the poor being useless burden and receiving government subsidies, In Mendham is being a total Nazi. Well, I don't know. That seems a bizarre stretch of credulity. But fine. I just don't. Which you don't need to make an argument of how the poor works out, how they, they do become incredibly something that is so incredibly valuable, and they really don't. The liability is much higher. The idea that the welfare whore is going to have a daughter who's going to be a welfare whore is pretty much 100%. So maybe some of her sons will escape and become some sort of citizen. But, I mean, most of her daughters will just follow mommy's example. Both political parties are allowing mass immigration because the American people's low birth rate won't sustain Social Security. So again, it's another lie. I mean, Social Security was pre-financed. I mean, they've been taxing the workers, payroll taxes paid into a trust fund, blah, blah, blah. So all this threat to Social Security doesn't exist. So this is just a canard. But fine, go ahead and believe what you want. There's lots of unsustainable growth dependency, but all of that dependency is completely, you can undo it. You don't have to be dependent on growth. So the systems can be made, and they can be made to be self-sustaining. So, there's no need to have a society that continually increases in population. And you can certainly understand that, logically, there has to be some point where you say, oh yeah, we have to stop growing. You do understand that, don't you? I mean, I could, Itchy and Scratchy cartoon, from Homer Simpson Simpsons. They start off with little guns, and the guns get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the guns are as big as the whole planet. You can't have unsustainable growth. All right, so Cato the Wiser. No, both parties are allowing mass immigration because they have globalist agenda. Well, they do have two. I would argue that the two parties do have completely idiotically different perceptions. I mean, I don't know what's in the Piro head, in terms of how he makes it make sense. But he just thinks that every human being is going to be able to somehow be educated and somehow be this and be that and be that. And then we're all going to do it on, welfare is going to be so good that they're going to buy a house, moving on up or something. And they're going to move to the suburbs on their welfare check. And so the kid's not going to be raised in the hood. And there's no realistic prospect of that happening. And if it was to happen, what does that do to the work ethic? You go to work every day to make a living, to take care of your kids, and then somebody who doesn't do any of that stuff gets their kids taken care of for free. I mean, doesn't that make the worker look like a sucker? So I don't understand how that would work. Why would allowing a bunch of the world's dipshit losers invade here help Social Security? They are net drains economically. Well, they are in the end. Clearly, the healthcare and everything else just, educating and raising kids is hugely expensive, and especially when they don't speak the fucking language anymore, it's even more expensive. I don't know who Kalergiri plans to replace white people. Well, most countries are actually overpopulated and over-consuming. Yeah, the world population keeps growing, and it's bad news for the world. There's no other way to look at it rationally. John Dinkski. Plan is to replace white people. Zero evidence for that. It's just white supremacist trope of some sort that the Nazis believed. So again, it's always good, this bizarre thing like you're some kind of Nazi bigot because you don't think idiocracy is a great idea. You don't want to live in one. Oh, I don't want most children raised by people on welfare. I mean, does that make me a Nazi? I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think they raise really great kids. I'm not saying the rich do either. I mean, that's why I kind of want to go back to a working class world where we don't have rich privilege and we don't have poor privilege. I must inform you that India and China are not Western countries. How are you going to blame Whitey for the Chinese breeding like rats? Well, actually, the Chinese had some control over it. I mean, now India is the worst, but yeah, it's bad. It was an accident of circumstances. Our ancestors entered hostile climates and toiled their patch of soil. The work ethic continues. Yeah, we were just ignoring the fact that most of them died badly. You know, so a few could live. If I build a house, I'm not obliged to house those too lazy to build their own. Well, like I said, I mean, there's some obligations, but I don't think there's no obligation not to require people to be responsible. So I think we have a responsibility to tell people who are being irresponsible, that is, they can't manage they're put too much food on their plate and they can't eat it. However you want to, you know, they're having too many fucking kids. And there's got to be a way to tell them you can't do that. Calling someone a Nazi is not an argument. Let's see, except it isn't when the context calls for it. You spout a bunch of Nazi montifs, which is why I compare you to a Nazi. Well, I guess again, this is hardly Nazi rhetoric. It's just bizarre exaggerations. Let's see. I don't know. Gord Downey, whoever that is, went on In Mendham. I don't know who that is. Fucking Indio dogs at a toxic. They film me. I don't know what that is. I agree. In Mendham. That's probably not a good thing. So anyway, it's probably enough. The rich pay workers to build air conditioning units for igloos in Antarctica. Republicans call that useful labor. Well, something like that. It's sort of an exaggeration. But the point is we're not building Hoover dams, we're not building infrastructure, we're not building anything that most people use. We're just building comfort palaces for the rich. Alright, morbid atheist. Voting is a fucking joke in this country. Voting is on a Tuesday in November. There is no public counting of ballots. Republicans throw brown people off the voter rolls because they have common names or because they didn't vote in the last 2 elections. You know, apparently anybody can throw anybody's vote in the garbage. So there's a lot of both sides playing games with people's votes. It's all the white man's fault. Oh, and global warming too. Yeah, I read that one before, so we're all the way. Well, yeah, I actually commented on it. Yeah. So, if that's what you heard, then there's as much shit in your ears as in your brain. An In Mendham comment. Oh, that's very good. Excellent commenting there, In Mendham. So anyway, I think that's enough of a video. So, sorry. You know, I'll try to find a new routine and do a new this and a new that, but I don't know. Like I said, it'd be funny if I end up not being In Mendham anymore. So I'd have to change my name. So I guess I'll have to solicit new names. Just sad. You know, but it's a name nobody could pronounce, so I guess it's probably a good thing. But, so yeah, not certain yet, but it's not looking good. But who knows? I'll let you know when I know, and such, and so forth, and whatnot. So it's just the horror. Oh. It's like a zoo animal. I really am like a zoo animal or some kind of leopard or something, and you can't put him in the wrong kind of cage or he just goes insane. And you know, I'm just not this is just not a good idea, moving me to a new cage. I don't like captivity, but I don't like the wild either, don't get me. So I'm just not, I don't know what to I don't like either option here. I'm at a crossroad and there's no place that looks really good. They all look shitty. Horrendously shitty. So anyway. I just have to remember there's no spoon. What do I care? There's no spoon. I don't care. Somehow I have to do that. There's no spoon, fucker! How can you be upset when there's nothing to be upset about because there's no spoon, damn it? There's nothing to be upset about. It's funny. I mean, it's sort of logically true, but it's almost impossible to make your brain say, oh yeah, sure, there's no spoon. Yeah, no, your brain keeps seeing the spoon. Damn it. Alright, anyway, till next time, and such, so forth and whatnot.